the application tire architecture in release 12.1.x. Now before we go deep into this architecture, I would like to add here that there is a significant difference between 12.1 and 12.2 architecture. In 12.2, you've got the addition of what you called as WebLogic server in the application tire. So let's start. At a high level, the application tire is same for both 12.1 and 12.2 in terms of what you see out here at a high level components, but within that these things have changed significantly. To start with, the web services side, basically it contains three components. It contains what you call as WebListener or Oracle HTTP server, which is powered by Apache. So the Apache is the one which actually communicates with the client tire or web browser to bring or send back the information. It also contains what you call as Java Servlet Engine, or also called as OC4J. Okay, OC4J stands for Oracle Container for Java. Then it also contains something called as Oracle Process Manager, which is also called as OPMN. Now, to have a better understanding, I've drawn a diagram which is a little more in detail out here. So as you could see, it contains the WebListener, which is what you call as Oracle HTTP server, and it is powered by Apache. Then you've got what you call as OC4J or Oracle Container for Java. It's also called as Java Servlet Engine or just as Java Engine. Then you've got something called as Oracle Process Manager, which is like a process manager running in the background, managing the processes, and that's where you see the status of processes and the management of processes out there. So basically, the WebListener components of Oracle HTTP server, it accepts the incoming call from the client, and then it routes that request to appropriate OC4J or Oracle Container for Java container. If the page is referenced by URL and it requires advanced processing, then this listener passes the request to the servlet engine, and which in turn calls the JSP pages. And the JSP pages contains all this information and processes, which actually communicates to the database server to get the information or data from database server as requested by the client via the client tire, and then it is processed back the same route back via the listener to the client tire. So putting it all together, let's take one by one. So basically, when a client goes and logs into Oracle applications, he and clicks on a specific hyperlink from the browser, at that point of time the browser makes a request via this HTTPS WebListener, and the WebListener actually connects with OC4J. And OC4J is the place which actually contains the Java server pages, and Java server pages in turn call what you call as AOLJ. The AOLJ is the one which supplies Oracle Application Framework with underlying security and application Java services. It provides the Oracle Application Framework with its connection to the database and with specific functionalities such as flex fields which are lying in applications. And that's how the whole connection is made via these channels. So the metadata page definition is the one which is loaded from metadata repository on the database tire into the application tire. So the UI out here stands for user interface. Then the BC4J engine or business components for Java, it is the one that contains application logic, and it is instantiated across the databases. If your database structure involves RAC, but if you've got only one database, then it kind of accesses the database at this point of time. Then the Java controller engine, it programmatically manipulates the page definition as necessary based on the dynamic user interface rules. The UIX or HTML UI generator, it creates the corresponding HTML page according to the user interface standards and sends the page back to the browser via the same channel it has come from. So basically this whole thing gets processed in the Java server pages, which makes a connection to the database, process the information, and then finally the processed information is sent back via the WebListener to the client browser. So that's the end-to-end architecture in terms of the web services, and this whole thing lies under Java Oracle Home under Oracle Application Server 10.1.3 for web services for release 12.1.x. Now you would also see that there is something called as concurrent processing server and form services through form listener servlet. Now the concurrent processing happens, as I've explained you previously, when someone submits a request online, and if something has to be processed in the background, and that is the place the concurrent processing server is connected. It processes the information, it gets the information from database, and then process the information and resend it back via the same channel to the browser. Now in terms of the architecture, that's all it is for release 12.1.x, but as you would see at the bottom, I have written there are 3 directories. It is sitting on top of it. So you can see something called as inst_top and Apple top and common top. Although this is not the full file structure within the application tier, but they are the major ones on which the application tier is sitting. Now more about file structure I will explain you a little while later. Now like all other release 12.x releases, Oracle eBusiness Suite also uses this kind of an architecture in release 12.2 as well. So this inst_top is also called as instance home, and using instance home directory, it kind of helps DBAs in the application server to share the application and technology stack code among multiple instances. For instance, you've got something called as a development instance, a test instance, a UAT instance, and you don't want to have this information installed again and again, and if you would like to share it within multiple instances, that's where you use inst_top. Okay, this is a logical name, inst_top, but physically in the server it is stored under /inst directory. Okay, it's a top directory. That's the reason it's called as inst_top. Now, depending on how you choose to install Oracle eBusiness Suite, these product directories may be located in a single machine, which is a simplest case, of course, and mostly holds good for personal environment. But in a corporate or an organizational environment, these directories could lie in multiple machines. Then comes the application top. So within the file structure, you've got one top directory as install top. Okay, and then the second file structure you have is application file structure. Within application file structure, you've got Apple top and common top. Okay, so there are many eBusiness Suite files which are stored in Apple top, which is generally lies in this kind of a directory structure. Okay, so EBS Apps is the one that stores both Apple top and common top, but within EBS Apps, in terms of Apple top, it gets stored in a subdirectory called as Apple. So this is again a logical name. Okay, the actual physical path is this. Likewise, the common top has got a physical path of common. Okay, now what happens is at the time of installation, the installation wizard, which is nothing but the rapid install wizard, what it does is it creates all your application specific directories within Apple top for every module, and it lies over here, and it creates regardless of whether your company is licensed for that product or not. Okay, And then it also creates corresponding structure in terms of the table structure in the database for all the product directories which have been created in AppleTop. Each AppleTop directory is associated with a single Oracle eBusiness Suite database. You've got to remember that, which is very important. Then coming to common top, a common top directory contains file used by many different Oracle eBusiness Suite products, which may also be used by third-party products. So coming on to the directory structure, here is how it is, or I should say, I should skip that one and here. Okay, so as you would see over here, you have a top directory for database, you've got a top directory for install top, and then you've got a top directory for your applications. Database level directory will contain all the database tier related directory structure. Then install top, as I have explained you, is the one which gives you the ability to share application and technology stack code among multiple instances. As I said, for example, like test instance or UAT instance or maybe development instance and so on. Then you have the application tier server, which contains the Apple top and common top. In terms of the exact physical file structure, which is what is shown over here, this is what is there in each. Now I will be discussing a little bit more about this file structure as we go along in the course. Now coming back to the application tier structure, the total structure in terms of components and processes and services which goes into application tier, this is how it looks like. It's pretty much the same figure, but it's more precise here, so it shows you more easily. And the other thing that you would notice over here is the optional components. Like for example, what happens is in certain environment the client would like to have a single sign-on. Now it is not mandatory for installing Oracle eBusiness Suite release 12.1.x. It's an optional component. So where does it goes and sit into? It goes under the application tier again, but it goes under a separate category for SSO, for single sign-on, and basically it is supported as the 10G version. Likewise, you've got many other optional components which you can install and goes into application tier, like Discoverer or Portal or OID and so on. It all is a part of application tier as a part of middleware solution. Then as you would see now, precisely what is described here in terms of Oracle application server 10.1.3 for web services, and you've got Oracle application server 10.1.2. But this architecture has changed in release 12.2, which I'm going to explain you in